on a podcast called J is for Justice.
I think there's just hope that she returns no matter what. Oh my God, that's Megan's house. Oh my God. Oh my God.
And then...
Wait a second, you guys. We have breaking news. All of a sudden in the chat, there was breaking news that there was a raid going on in Houston, Texas. It may be connected to a high-profile case.
That's her best friend. She would not be there.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for waiting for us tonight. We're just happy that our special guest, which is back by popular demand, like everybody kept asking for more Carl. Carl, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
What's up?
How's it going?
Hey, pretty good. Pretty good. So we were just, really happy that you were okay through all these fires that are going on by you.
Yeah, they're further down south, but when you go leave the house and go dink around, you kind of get caught and stuff. So, but it's all good.
Yeah,
up this way.
So you're good at your house. You don't have to evacuate or anything.
Yeah, no, I'm like on the other side of the ridge.
Perfect. And as everyone can probably hear, your audio is 150% better.
Yep, pressing buttons.
Yeah. I said, what'd you do that? That's great right there. He said, I don't know. I just pressed the button. I said, well, it works. So with that being said, what do we have to talk about tonight? Besides your butthole.
Oh, yeah. I mean, do you want to end on that? We can end on that one.
Oh, we'll end on the butthole?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Yeah, they can.
It's a good finisher.
Okay, that would be a good way to finish it. We'll hold that. So what do we have to talk about before that amazing topic at the end?
Well, first off, we get people that just message us out of the blue, and then like every once in a while we'll kind of ask for things so we can kind of piece some stuff together. So what we did, we got a message from someone who knows, I guess, the person that within the church fronted Chad. He is the bishop, I guess,
of the Mormon church.
Confronted Chad of just that ward in Rexburg. Just like the ward's like 300 people.
Okay.
Or 300 or more people.
Okay.
So he's like, he would have been who called Chad to come in and
have a talk
about this stuff.
So Chad, so is that a big deal? I don't know a lot about the Mormon religion, so I'll probably need you to like talk me through a couple things, but is that normal for that to happen? Like, or is that a big deal? If they call you in, the bishop or whatever calls you in, are you like, oh God, I did something really bad?
I think it depends, because I think they call you in there, but if you haven't done anything wrong, it's just hearsay and they can't prove anything. Obviously it's your word against theirs, but Chad had a ton of evidence built up against him, and he had already pissed people off way before that. And I think that they had reached out back to Springville, so they kind of had a pretty good idea on what was going on with him.
Okay, so when did this happen?
This happened around the time he got married to Lori.
Oh, so just this last fall?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Just last fall. So they figured out that Chad had been going to church and recruiting people and bringing them over to his house, saying, we're going to talk about the church. This is the topic we're going to talk about today. And he would get them to come over to the house. And then that's when he would kind of switch it up and drop little hints about something, so that he wasn't basically, I don't know, he wasn't just giving all the information out, just sitting everyone down and just giving it out. He was kind of like leaving little tidbits out there, making them ask questions.
Yeah, like slowly infiltrating.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like reverse psychology.
Wow. Okay,
on
so
the P-
how did
so-
they find out that he was like doing these meetings and stuff?
because everyone was talking about it.
Mm.
There's there's the 300 people in the church, and then the Avow network claims to have 20,000 plus people. Like Chris Paris had 20,000 people within the online community in the forums. And then, PAP has their conferences each month. So, and they were renting big conference centers. So it's not like that's cheap to just be from city to city and holding all these conferences. People are showing up, people are throwing down money. We don't really know how or why. Like, we don't know how they're paying for this. Like, why do they have money? But we know that Chad was asking people for money. Chad and Chris were asking people for money and talking about going and using that money, and one person would go and buy property up near Yellowstone, near a river, and everyone who pitched in would be able to go to the call out and use that property.
Okay, so he was kind of taking the people from the church and kind of formulating his own little gathering,
Church.
right? Like his own,
yeah,
his own deal. And this
Pretty
was
much.
just starting, like he just got busted by them in November. So how long had he been doing this prior to the first sit down with them?
Probably going back to when he first started doing his stuff with PAP.
So
preparing people.
Yeah, so a couple, 2-3 years.
Yeah, because he had, all his books are out there, and his books give everyone an idea of what exactly he was doing. He didn't hide anything. He did it all out there in the open.
Mm-hmm.
But because it wasn't in the media and people weren't talking about it, it was kind of one of those things that we talked about, don't look at it and it'll just go away, or people won't talk about it and it's fine.
Right.
And then as soon as people start talking about it, that's when there's a problem. So
someone in chat asked, did he get the property?
I don't know. It's weird. Someone sent me a message, and she was able to go and do a property search, and she found like 3 different properties with warehouses and just like old buildings on them within the Rexburg, Rigby area. So that's when we initially thought that maybe the kids could have been hanging out there with someone watching them.
Mm-hmm.
But they did see something up towards Yellowstone. So then when the psychics started talking about, bodies near a river, all this, and then it seemed like this property up there kind of made sense. But
yeah, it wasn't.
For me, I don't know if there's enough concrete evidence to say that people had been pitching in. It might have just been an idea.
Right.
So we don't know if anyone was actually subscribing to that or not.
Okay, so he had slowly been doing this over the 2-3 years that he was doing the podcasts and all that and the books, right?
Yeah.
And then, so it came to a head in November of 2019. So talk us through what happened then.
So Chad was bringing the people over, and he was straight up saying the leaders of the Mormon church are false. I'm the true prophet. They are corrupt, and you shouldn't be listening to them. And that's basically word for word what I was given, what Chad told them. And
Okay, can I stop you
through,
there?
like,
Can I stop you there?
yeah,
So, as far as him claiming to be the prophet,
like the not, yeah, like the leader of the entire Mormon religion, not just his little church.
so that's what the prophet is in the Mormon religion. That is like the end all be all, the one person that goes through God, right?
Yeah. So right now the prophet would be President Nelson. He lives down here in Salt Lake. So, before that it was Gordon Hinckley.
So Chad is telling these people that these guys really aren't their leaders, that it's him.
Right, that the whole thing's corrupt, and
they're believing him. There's people that are actually believing him.
Apparently Lori and Melanie Gibb believed him enough to go through with what they went and did.
Unbelievable. Wow.
And we know of other people that like went to meetings and stuff like that, but we're not going to throw them under the bus at all if all they were doing was going and like listening to them talk. And they've been sending us info, and they've said a couple names of who was in there, who was where and whatnot. But if they're not like a key person, then we're not going to out them because they don't want their neighbors and family knowing.
Someone in chat named Kimberly said that is not quite true. Chad said he was prophet of a different group called the Church of Firstborn. You know anything about that?
Okay, but he was saying that the Mormon church, he was saying all those leaders are corrupt.
Okay,
Don't follow them.
she's
Follow
clarifying.
me.
Yeah, she clarified. Chad and Hector, she said, both said the LDS church has limited function because the Church of the Firstborn would take over when the last days happened.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's
This goes back to that teamwork together. It wasn't just Chad might have been saying that he was the leader, but it sounded like Hector was pretty involved with the dreams, visions, energy healing type of stuff.
Can you tell us
So,
a little bit about like what a ward is, a bishop, and we explain what the prophet is, but like the bishop, I saw somebody in chat say all these positions are like volunteer. They don't get paid for these positions.
right? Yeah,
within
they're not paid. So basically, there's the bishop, and the bishop has like a team of people below him,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 2 counselors, some clerks, and an executive secretary, and Chad was the executive secretary. And then there's leaders of individual programs like I don't know, young women's and stuff like that. So Chad was a pretty influential member.
I see. So that makes sense why he had so many people that saw things his way. They thought maybe he had discovered something they didn't know.
He had an easy way of grabbing people because they already looked up to him. So It wasn't like he was just some nobody.
Right.
And then he had this persona where he put on this show that he was almighty powerful, but he wasn't.
Someone in chat wants to know if you are LDS or former LDS.
No, I just born and raised here in Salt Lake City. My family is, but I'm not. That's why I have to go through and double check a lot of this info. Some things we get are from ex-members, and the church leadership or church might have changed, and they haven't stayed up to date. So people that we have been talking to since this case started, and we send the information off to them to basically get verified. Like, does this pass the smell test to you?
Right.
Is this just someone talking out their ass, or is this some credible information? And
Right.
pretty much this was ran through, and he said, okay, I can see how they haven't been active for a while, so there's a couple things. And he just clarified the church organization, that there were certain positions not involved anymore.
Okay, so he goes to this sit down where they say, all right, we know what you've been doing, blah 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 blah, and they list off everything he's been doing.
Right. So they basically laid it out there, told him everything that they had been hearing, and said, clear this up. I'm sure they tried to give him the benefit of the doubt just to see if he'd hang himself. And he basically said, you're not, this isn't happening, and walked out. Like, you have no power over me.
So he didn't even try to deny it or anything.
Yeah, it's like what they call the disciplinary council. So it's not for sure how many people were in there or not, but I know the bishop was the one talking to Chad, so there might have been there were a couple other people in the room. But we don't know the names of who those people are.
So Chad was real confident in his position that he told them, I'm not even having this discussion, and he was out.
Pretty much.
So this was after Tammy passed away. Because she passed away she passed away in October, correct? Yeah, because they got married the beginning of November.
Yeah.
So
this is around the time. Just there's not an exact date. We just know that this happened around the time that he got married, so it could have happened before.
So,
but like, it's pretty secretive. Like, they don't announce. There's family members that go home and tell their kids, tell their wife, and they'll talk to a friend or whatnot. But it's like there's no formal announcement of who's excommunicated.
So would his children be welcome there?
At the church?
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're gonna, someone's gonna find out.
So in other words, it makes them
Chad
all look bad.
Can just show back up. Yeah, but Chad can still go back to church the following Sunday. Like, there's nothing stopping him from going in and going to church. He's just been excommunicated. And I don't know the whole process of being excommunicated, but because not every LDS member has a temple recommend. So.
But all the higher ups at the church would know what he was doing.
Right. Yeah. So we talked with Ryan McKnight, who we showed him like what we had. And I said, is there anything that kind of aligns with what this says? And he sent us some links to basically he runs Mormon Leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent us some links to some documents that he had, and you can go through. We're going to post them in our group, and you can go and read through them.
Cool.
And you can see that it kind of shows like President Nelson. That's how big of a deal this was. Like, he was someone that was aware of this and called down. So it wasn't like this was like a low key thing. Chad was pissing a lot of people off.
So he was pissing a lot of people off, but how many people actually followed him away from the the regular church. I mean, how I would like to say it. But like, I mean, are we talking 100, 500? I mean, how many actually believed him? I don't know how many were in his little, what'd you call it, a ward? Is that a church?
Right. Well, I mean, there's the LDS ward, so they would be basically like a neighborhood. It's like the people that live in Chad's neighborhood. You know, there's like, what is it, like 12 or 13 wards in an area, and then that is called a stake. So it's like stake.
So it's
ward.
by geographical location?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So there's one in every, like they have one for every area in that. That's a lot of wards, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's churches everywhere in Utah. Like every.
I mean, I've never been out there. Yeah, I've never been out there, so I don't know what that's like, and I've never.
It's hideous. Don't ever come here.
I have like no experience with any of this. It's actually, it's kind of fascinating, but a little bit scary at the same time, to be honest.
Yeah. Don't look at any photos of Utah ever. It's gross. You won't like it.
It's gross.
You won't come here. Yeah, don't look at it.
It's beautiful there.
Shh, don't tell everyone.
It's the next Colorado if you do, right?
Yeah, right. As soon as they legalize weed, we'll be taken over.
You'll be totally taken over.
Everyone will leave California.
So, all right. So Chad, oh my God, Gwen, he's lying, Jay.
I am lying. Can't get anything past you.
No. Nope. She's
God, I'm busted.
Oh my God. All right. So okay. So back to Chad, chinless Chad.
Yeah.
So what happens from here? I mean, what else did these people tell you? What were the other people in the church thinking? Like, did you hear anything about like his kids, or what? Were they going to the church? Did they stop going? I mean, I don't know how this shit works.
They were still going. We had people in our group that were living in the neighborhood, and they would go to the church, and they would change each ward has like a specific time you're supposed to go to church, but it doesn't mean that you can't go to another time. It's just like recommended to fit everyone together like a puzzle, you know? And he was kind of just lingering around, just sitting there waiting. And, you know, he went and he saw Melanie and Ian come in with Ian's mom, and said that Melanie like had her head in his mom's lap and was laying down sleeping through church.
What?
And then his mom, she found out that he was like kind of like reporting back to everyone on what they were doing, and it was quite comical because he would be like live reporting back to us and be like, all right, she's staring at me, she knows it's me.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, you can't make this shit up.
No, it's those fake Facebook pages everyone hides, man.
Wait, yeah, they do. Everyone. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding.
I do not either. Not hiding.
Oh my God, none of us are hiding. We're not. We're all good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what other tea you got?
2 Mormons smoke weed on the down low.
I just was gonna read that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the good ones. Like here, like in Utah, you joke around. You call like the super Mormons that follow the rules, you call them the Molly Mormons. And then the Mormons that kind of do whatever they want Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday put their suit on and go and like, hey, look at me, I'm Mormon again. So those are the Jack Mormons.
Those are the ones that smoke weed?
Well, I mean, not all of them, but those would be the ones that would do it.
Oh my God.
So, and this is gonna piss some people off, but it's the truth. It's what happens. It doesn't matter. People do stupid stuff. It's like before their mission, they just kind of like go crazy.
Well, it's just like any religion, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, the men go on a mission for 2 years, so
they do.
they need
like
to
it's
get their
something
they need
have
to get their crazy out.
Oh.
No, they have to, but once they turn 19, they can, I don't know, put in the paperwork to go or whatever, and then the church gives them a calling, and they could be sent anywhere in the world, basically. So in the meantime, I know some people that pretty good partiers, had a good time up until they left. So
Okay, so I got some questions in chat for you.
okay.
All right, here's the first one. Carl, has any of Chad's kids come after you?
Not like face to face, online. I actually, Joseph, Emma's husband, joined the group, and I tried to get him to go get in his bathtub and have a Zoom with me. He left. He left the group after that, but it was worth a shot. I thought I'd give it a shot.
Oh my God.
I put the same invitation out to Ian as well, and he also ignored me. So,
well, God, it's such a great like visual. I'm in their bathtubs on Zoom with you.
I mean, I was going to get in my bathtub too.
How can they pass that up? A bathtub Zoom with Carl. That's what
I'm saying.
I need to raffle off a bathtub Zoom with Carl.
For sure. That might be enjoyable.
Okay, so no, that would be a no. None of them have come after you, so to speak. Have you gotten any kind of threats, like from anybody involved with the church or anything about Chad, like his followers?
No one with the church would come after me, because that's not something they do. And if you like comment or post something like the conversation that we're having, that if something positive happens and the person's Mormon or it involves the Mormon church, like they jump on it and they shout it out off the rooftops, and they want everyone to know. But when something bad happens, some of them will just go nuts on you, like absolute bananas. So just kind of have to just ignore it a little bit.
Have you tried to contact Lori?
No, I don't have. I don't think I couldn't keep my cool long enough to even have a conversation with Lori.
I was just going to ask you, what would you say if you could talk to Lori?
A 4-letter word, and it starts with a C.
Yeah. Think I know what that is.
Yep.
For real, yeah. So how about where does the zombie thing come from? Someone asked that. What's the deal with the zombie thing?
The zombie. Well, I don't know. That's not really like an LDS thing.
It's not at all?
No, that's Chad's thing.
That's his thing. He made that up about the zombies?
Well, the zombies was just...
What does that mean?
Well, I mean, we all know what a zombie is. Zombie is someone that's died and come back, but their definition of a zombie was someone that basically was in their way. So they did whatever they wanted to do to kill the zombie and get him out of the way.
Annie Cushing is in chat, and she said the zombie thing comes from Jason Moe. And hi, Annie Cushing. Yeah. Thanks for joining.
Jason worked on a movie. and he was pretty involved with it, and that was the whole zombie thing. And then it sounds like that they just kind of ran with it from there. I don't know what it is about Jason. Like, he just looks like a douchebag, you know?
He really does. Yeah, he does.
Like, he just has that face you want to punch right in the mouth. But I don't know why he's like aligned and associated with all these hospitals for people that are in there for mental health purposes. And he has this warrior ethos program where people, you know, these people don't have a choice. They're in the program, so you wake up, go over, Jason talks to them for however long, they get a certificate at the end. But a lot of these, Jason was going and doing like the Operation Underground, guy's name, yes, commercials and stuff. But he would be at conferences and he'd have Jason come and speak. There's pictures of him and Jason out there together. Doesn't mean they're best friends. It's just Jason has some sort of ability. There's even senators that are up in the Rexburg area that have been photographed at little like preparing a people events and stuff. Oh. So
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, everyone, to keep your portal hole still, everyone that goes to the preparing a people events doesn't mean that they're aligned with Chad. That's just something Chad used to corrupt more people. Basically, someone wanted to go and learn how to farm their own stuff and can it and store it in their basement, and Chad's like, well, let me come over to my house, we'll tell you all about it. And then he would do his thing. So, you know, he was just manipulative.
Used them. Yeah, he used all these people
pretty much. I don't know if you know, like, the FBI, CIA, military, they love recruiting LDS members, because they're so good at following the rules without asking any questions. They'll just do what they're told. And there's your whole thing on how Chad gets people into his little cult.
Wow. All right, here's another question. Carl, is it true Jason Moe was in Rexburg when Tylee went missing? Do we know?
Ooh, Annie would know that one. Annie knows the exact date off the top of her head. But I do know that Jason was he was in Montana, I think, like Billings at one point. So he was close, but Annie would know the exact date without me having to go back and pull it up.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for her to put that in. And then there's another one. Is there any evidence that Jason, Chad, or anyone is affiliated with white supremacy?
No. I don't know if that stems from, there was a pamphlet the government put out about fringe groups that are on the government watch list, and the Avow members say we're only on there because we're preppers, but I don't know. There's some members that are definitely aligned with white supremacist networks in Idaho and in Utah, but that doesn't mean that all of them are. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just a couple dipshits doing a dumb thing doesn't mean that everyone else is a bad person.
Right.
So it's Chad did a really good job at making everyone around him look bad when this happened, during this whole thing. The way that Chad acted by not answering questions and the whole Nate Eaton Hawaii thing, where they got it on video, Chad and Lori walking into the hotel. That pretty much did them in right there. Unless your name is Janice or Summer. You know, everyone else was like, oh, okay, this isn't good. So
Alexander wants to know, Carl, what is your favorite Chad Daybell book?
Oh, you know what? I actually have 3 of them. Trying to suffer my way through them. I went and I bought 2. I didn't buy anything from anyone that would benefit Chad. I went down to the DI and picked them up for $1. So I bought book 2 of his Times of Turmoil series, Martial Law, just because it's talking about martial law, and I wanted to see if this is something that Chad actually had a decent knowledge about, like what would happen. And it seems like he pulled a lot of his stuff out of that. Remember the last episode we talked about, like that Mormon LDS playbook, basically.
Yeah.
The Avow ripped off and added a couple lines here and there and made it their own thing.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. But then book three's Days of Fury. And this one's a classy one because it's autographed by Chad Daybell. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it looks like it was signed by someone in the 3rd grade with their left hand. But it looks like everything else that's out there. And then there's that book that he wrote. The last one that I have is One Foot in the Grave, The Strange But True Adventures of a Cemetery Sexton, and it's absolute garbage.
Oh,
like, it's so hard to... Ugh.
Is it awful? Because I saw that and I was like, ooh, I'd like to read that. It's a horrible read.
It's like, it's cheesy, it's terrible.
So what I was reading is he kind of based the characters in the book off his own family. And instead of the Daybells, they were the Daltons.
Yeah.
Is that true? Okay, so they were the...
He's got a great imagination.
He really does. So they were the Daltons, and then it was like the 5 kids or whatever. How many did he have? 5?
Chad?
Yeah.
Or in the...
Well, both. I think
see.
It was the same. Like, he based it on his own family. But what happened in that book? That was it creepy? Like that was based on his own family?
No, not really. Just because it was written so long ago. But I mean, he would write like 2 paragraphs, and then it would be like chapter 2. You know, 3
really?
paragraphs. Chapter 3. So it's like a bunch of chapters broken up into mini chapters. It's, I don't know. It's weird. And then he has his, like, he gives his opinion on like how to, if you're burying someone, don't go and spend money on your loved one. Buy this for $500 and bury them because you're never going to see it again anyways. Kind of common sense, but like it's knowing what we know about Chad now, it's like, God damn.
Exactly. Anyway, that's just kind of, it's eerie looking back on it now, but it's still kind of.
Yeah, but like at the end of each chapter, he does like a little.
Oh, he makes like a little funny.
Kind of like myth. When you buy a burial plot, you own it and can do whatever you wish with the property. Fact, you're releasing the property from the cemetery.
That's kind
myth. Myth. If you fall in a grave, you will never get out.
What?
Fact. Most graves are only 5 feet deep.
Are you joking, or is this for real?
No, I'm dead serious. I'm reading page 55. And then he goes and starts talking about The Simpsons.
What?
And he's like, you see that? My favorite scene show The Simpsons is when Homer falls into a grave and he peers up from its bottom. That grave is about 20 feet deep.
Oh my God, he is a freak.
It's easier to draw a hole than it is that deep than it is to dig one.
So he said they don't have to be 6 foot deep?
Yeah, no, graves aren't 6 feet deep.
Oh, I thought they were.
Yeah, I don't really remember how that myth started, but graves aren't 6 feet deep. And I think they're like 9 feet deep because you can bury two people on top of each other. So like if you go to and see a headstone, like you go and see your grandparents and you see like both of their names on a headstone. They're not side by side, they're stacked.
Yeah, they're stacked. Yeah, you're right. So they go deeper than that.
So yeah, and it's weird because if it's not planned out, then they have to pull the
they pull the one out, go
dig down. Yeah,
they call Mr. Chad Daybell and they say we need it a little deeper, Chad.
Right. And so he talks about how this one vault was so heavy that they could barely get it out of the ground, and he was like, well, he talks about how smart he was, and he was like, well, it's filled with water. I know this. And he said that, I don't know if it broke or the way that it came up, only one side pulled up out of the grave. And he's like, Mrs. So-and-so was standing on her head and made a joke about it.
Oh my God.
And then he talks about like chiseling a corner piece off and seeing the bag that's inside of a coffin and popping it and all the gray water coming out. And he's like, ew. Whatever you do, don't drink it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, when it says
he had like a morbid sense of humor about it.
Yeah, but I mean, there's this guy, a writer for the Salt Lake Tribune forever, for like 20 plus years. Robert Kirby, like he's a pretty well-known person in Salt Lake because of all his book reviews and all of his articles and stuff like that. And he wrote something to Chad for him to put in his book. And I swear that knowing Kirby's personality, that he did it to be a smartass, because it says the book proves that people are dying to be funny.
Oh my God.
You know, it's terrible. It's not funny. It's bad. So he had to have been like, let me send this off to him and see what he says. And Chad was like, oh my God, he loved it.
So, wait a minute. Now everybody's asking about their grave site.
Like what?
I don't know. If they could put how many bodies on one grave site?
3.
You know this?
Okay, well, one reason I know, I worked in a cemetery when I was like 18. I just graduated high school, and my dad was like, I got you a job, and I thought I was going to be mowing lawns, going to the parks and stuff like that, and setting up the baseball fields, chalking the lines and all that. And my first day on the job, homeboys walk over and they're like, we need to get you need to jump down in that grave and level it out. So I'm like, okay, give me the shovel, jump down in there. They pulled a ladder out and went to lunch and left me in there for an hour. So
oh my God. You know what's funny is when I was 18, I got a job through a temp service, and it was like lawn care, like lawn maintenance. And I was like, whatever. So I go there. I was like 18 years old, just graduated high school, and it was the cemetery, and they handed me a weed whipper, and they had me weed whipping like around all the gravestones. And I lasted one day.
I've never been tan except for that summer, and it was just because I don't know what was going on with my boss, but like he would just show up and smoke cigarettes out in the back all day. I never saw him lift a finger to do any work ever. If someone came in to talk to someone, he would call one of us in, but like he pretty much said, as long as you go out and clean this shit up, you can do whatever. So, you know, we're driving the gator going full speed through the cemetery with our iPods in, shirtless, you know, just dinking off, getting everything done. It was a pretty chill job. If you like, I mean, I just was going around all day shirtless.
So you worked with some
working out, basically.
You worked with some Chad Daybells then.
Gee, okay. Well, this guy, kind of, he was a wiener. He said something to me about, there was like some lady and her husband had died, and she came in and she was just over there, and he was like, yo, you're a young buck, you should go over and talk to her. I'm like, dude, her husband just died. She's here to talk about you know, the gravesite and getting everything set up. I'm like, but that's weird. He's like, you know, and that's why your name is never going to be remembered. Like, okay.
Oh my god.
He was being dead serious. Weed whacker, yeah.
Well, so I said weed
it's called
whipper.
Something different all over. It's called something different all over the place.
I know it. Okay, so wait, I have one more question before we move on to something else. Where did it go? Shit, now I can't find it.
Why is Andrea saying talk about Melanie?
Everybody wants to talk about Melanie P, and that's what I was getting to.
Felony.
Oh, I know what it was.
Felony Melanie.
Yeah, before we get to her though, do you know where Zulema is, and have you heard anything about her getting any life insurance from Alex's death since they were married?
No, I think we all assume that there's something like that, but I would want to think that Alex had the life insurance on Zulema. But she's another person that was involved with these guys. I don't know, she went to Vegas to control earthquakes or some shit.
Oh yeah, control the elements, someone just said.
Yeah, but she could, like, so there were the earthquakes that were happening here in Salt Lake City, and everyone was like, oh my god, it's true, we're all gonna die. How many people can I put in a grave if I use a wood chipper? 37.
Sweetie Pie Low said that Zulema. Are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought we lost you for a second. That Zulema is in the country. She just talked to her in the last few days. And then someone else wants to know, were Chad and Lori legally married?
So someone in the group has a family member who works for the city and can pull the certificate up, and it's like password protected, needs a supervisor to even get to. And she said that she asked her supervisor about it a couple times, you know, and she was just like, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. And then the third time it was, don't ever ask me about it again. So
do you think it means anything that all the court docs say Vallow?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't fight. I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird.
So it could go either way, really.
Because, I mean, we've seen the wedding photos, so we know that there was at least like some kind of picture taking ceremony, but there's no proof of anything. Jason sealed them in the temple. You know, there's those rumors, but there's no video evidence of that. But people in the network talked about it and said that it happened. Melanie said that it happened. So
Okay, so that brings us to Melanie P. Everybody wants to talk about her.
oh,
What do you guys want to know about Melanie P? I mean, you could probably talk about Melanie P for hours.
I know that Brandon Boudreaux's family loves the Melanie memes, and they message them to each other, and they have a folder where they all keep them, and they flip through them and send them to each other. And
Really?
they have their favorite memes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, and someone shared one. It was like someone dressed up as a thing of mustard for Halloween, and they photoshopped Melanie's face on there.
Oh my god. I can't
Like
with the mustard. I can't.
It's gotten so out of control, that story. I mean, I in the Air Force. I thought people would kind of laugh about it. Like when I heard the story, I was like, okay, that's funny, but I didn't think that it was going to kind of explode the way it did. But there's the person that sent me the Melanie story, the mustard one, told me about another story with Melanie.
Uh-huh.
And it just talks about how shady she is. Actually, okay, she sent me two. Let's see. So this one says,
Get ready, folks.
yeah. Okay, so it said one time Melanie was mad at a really close friend that asked her to babysit for her. Instead of talking things out or telling the friend that she didn't want to or couldn't babysit, she told the friend she couldn't because she was going to Disneyland. Except she wasn't really going to Disneyland, and Brandon was out of town working. She panicked, realizing her lie would be obvious, so she called Brandon and insisted he abruptly leave his work to spend time with the family at Disneyland the next day. She never told him the reason for the trip, and he just found out about it last summer, 5 years later, because someone was making fun of Melanie.
Oh my god. Wow. Wow.
A little extreme, right?
Very extreme. Yikes.
Felony Melanie with the drama.
Jesus. These people are like, I don't know, out there. Like extra. Did Melanie go to college, or was she in the military?
She was in the Air Force. I don't know if she was active or if she was in the Air Guard, but there are pictures of her in an Air Force uniform. And it looks like I was in the Air Force, so like I'm kind of familiar with it. It looks like it was taken in a tech school dorm room, so it checks out. I don't know how long she was in. I don't know anything about it. I'm sure that some of her friends would know a little bit more about that.
Was she around Lori and Chad and Alex when the kids were killed? Where was Melanie?
No, we don't know that. There wasn't anything in the affidavit, but we don't know. I don't know. Melanie and Ian are shady. You know, no one wears a wire on their wife. He totally told her, "Hey, this is what's happening," and like she knew what was going on. So it seems like they wouldn't have gotten out of that, and that maybe they did talk, and maybe they did something, and some sort of deal came up.
Do we know where Melanie was when Chad and Lori got married?
No, we know that Melanie went with Lori to Hawaii in October.
Oh.
But we don't know exactly what they were doing. We just know that Melanie went there, and we know that Jason Moe met Lori in Hawaii as well. Don't know if it's the same time or separate time, but we know that both of them met up in Hawaii.
What was the other story about Melanie? You said there were two.
Well, the other one was the mustard story.
Oh, that was the
And
same
then-
person. Gotcha.
Yeah, the same. Yeah, I messed up. The last one isn't something to share. It was just talking. She's having a hard time with the whole thing. She was friends with Brandon and Melanie. Like, people that knew her from back in the day learned how deceiving she is. And
right.
they said that she's a much better liar in person than she is in front of the camera. So it might be obvious for us to see everything,
But they
because she's
couldn't.
nervous in front of the camera. But when it's face to face, Melanie is a really good liar.
Let's see. I saw a good question here. Someone said, Moondream said, I think Melanie got married at the same time in Hawaii. Is that true?
Melanie got married in Las
Vegas.
Vegas at the same time as Alex and Zulema.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for clearing that up. And then Annie said, Annie Cushing, the way she told Keith Morrison, and she's talking about Dateline, that she specifically didn't see the kids after she moved there in November was super sketch. She specified twice. So Annie was wondering, like, when did she visit Rexburg before moving there?
Thing is, Melanie lies so much. She's kind of like Julie Rowe that we've talked about. Like, there's just so many lies and there's so much bullshit that you have to see through that you kind of, she says something, but that's just what she said. It doesn't mean it's true.
Right.
Like, we know, what did Melanie Gibbs say that Melanie Pulowski knew from Alex that the kids were dead?
Yeah.
But she never said anything about that to the police. So, and I think that was getting brought up in her custody hearing, because Melanie Gibb was one of the people testifying.
Okay, someone else Go Peace wants to know what happened with Melanie's case in Utah for trespassing.
All the court stuff has pretty much been pushed out because of COVID. So there's not as many court cases, court appearances, and there's less amount of people in. So they push things back, and instead of having someone testify in front of everyone, they've been bringing them over at a separate time and interviewing them, and then they would have that video in court.
Oh,
So,
I see.
So everything's kind of been pushed back, but I do know that she did have an appearance that she had to go to, but I don't think she showed up. I think it was just her attorney for the thing in
The trespassing.
for the separate for the trespassing custody are two different things. I think people remember seeing the custody with Zulema and Summer and Ian's mom all walking in, and Justin Lum was trying to get them to make a statement, and they just walked past them. So people might be confused that they're two different court appearances. The rumors that Melanie's down there living with Summer.
Oh, really?
That's what we've heard.
God, that family
because
is so
she's
bizarre.
down there for court. So that's what's that YouTuber's name? Tyson? The one
Yeah.
that-
Oh, yeah.
yeah, he went and knocked on the door, but I think Melanie was already long gone. She'd been in Arizona for a while.
Now, have you gone to any of the court hearings so far? Or you haven't been able to because of COVID, right?
Yeah, no, and I wouldn't drive up to Rexburg for this stuff. The good stuff is going to be much later. All
Are
this
you
stuff is
planning on-
pretty much the attorneys having dick measuring contests. Once they get through this part, I'd probably guess like a year and a half out.
Oh, you think that long?
Yeah.
Damn.
Murder cases. The Watts case threw everyone off because
Yeah.
it happened so fast. No one was prepared for that.
True.
And I think it's given people a false sense of hope that that's what happens. Maybe they thought they hadn't paid attention to other murder cases and whatnot, but that's not what happens. And how many times did he change his story too?
I know it. After
In
he
the-
pled guilty. Yep.
Yeah, right.
He's changed it a few times, even after. Yeah, it's like, what do you believe? But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
do you plan on going to the trials?
No, I wouldn't go.
No?
No. I don't want to say why, but I'll tell you why off.
Oh, okay.
It's a personal thing.
Gotcha.
Just for this case specifically.
Gotcha.
Others like it involving kids. It's like it's not.
Can't.
No.
Yeah, it's hard.
I don't want to hear those. I don't want to see the
details.
photos.
Mhm.
I don't want to. It's not something that I'm cool with being like this far back and then hearing about it. Like I've seen some pretty disgusting and bad stuff. I don't need to see that stuff.
Yeah, hearing about it is bad enough.
And it being kids, it's different when it's an adult. An adult. That's what we kind of do. We kind of just live our lives and die.
For sure.
But-
No, when there's kids,
Yeah.
especially, it breaks my heart too, because JJ and being special needs,
Right. Like he was so innocent.
so
He didn't-
innocent. Like,
I don't know. It's hard because you talk about JJ and how innocent he is and that he shouldn't be harmed, and people get upset like you're disrespecting Tylee. They know because she's a teenager and would argue that makes it okay. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm talking about this and this only. So just
right. It's not comparing the two, because obviously
right.
neither one should, it shouldn't have happened to either one of them. But yeah, just
Yeah.
the pure innocence of someone like JJ, and I think Tylee would agree, because obviously she understood him better than probably anybody.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about last time. We talked about how she probably had every chance in the world to bail and leave, and she stuck around for her brother.
So sad. All right, let's get off that, because that's really depressing. Here's a question. Does Carl know if this group were doing weird orgies? I mean, it seems like they all wanted to be with others.
Okay, when we ran the Christmas Misery group, some troll wrote up it was a pretty epic post, but he wrote up some long thing about how he attended Lori's sex parties, and he went into like crazy detail, and it made it so believable, and people went absolutely nuts, but it wasn't real. It was just someone that had a really, really good story and told it very well, and it was believable, and it was up long enough for people to look into it and be like, what the hell was going on? So I don't know if the person who said that knew about that incident or not. You know what? And I think we might have screenshots of it. It was the detail that he went into was like, holy shit, there's no way that this isn't real. But it wasn't real. Kind of like that we proved isn't real. I don't know. We won't go into it, but the whole Methgate thing, that's before I die, I'm going to solve Methgate.
What's Methgate? I think I'm out of the loop.
So in the beginning of the case, back when, before it like really blew up, before Datelines and stuff like that, Kay had said that she had gotten a private attorney and that they were, let's see, she'd gotten a private attorney and they had looked into it, and they got this guy, Dan Judd, who's involved with preparing a people, and he supposedly has like some Mormon artifacts. Lost 116 pages of the Book of Lehi, and apparently like Joseph Smith like gave them to someone else way back in the day, and they disappeared. And Dan Judd was claiming to have these papers, and I don't know how he ended up involved with it, but they put together that Chad was a meth kingpin. Alex was a truck driver who drove meth from Mexico through Texas, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, and it might have even been up through Canada. And then it talked about the lost artifacts kind of for a second with Dan Judd, and how Chris Parrott and Sean Little Bear and Jason Moe like came at Dan and basically tried to strong arm him. Dan was supposed to speak at some preparing a people conferences, and they were like, once they had him all signed up and he was on the flyer and everything, they were like, hey, we have to have these papers. Like, you can't speak without these papers. And it sounded like they kind of, I don't know if it was all at one time. They made it sound like it was three people like going up to this guy's house and like kind of cornering him with no way out, and basically saying, you're going to give us the location to these papers, or you're not going to be a part of this. So, and it was all tied into this whole meth story about that's where their money was coming from.
Good God.
I don't know.
Dude, this case like makes my head spin. Like,
So,
I don't know
and
how
then they
you can
talked-
gather all this info on this case and keep it like straight. I really don't.
It's weird. So they talk about let's see, what was it? They talk about the meth movement, all of that. What the hell was I going to say? I don't know. It obviously wasn't important, I guess, but it was funny talking about Methgate. Oh, so it talked about Hector Sosa and Julie Rowe, and how Julie Rowe runs safe houses for children who've been brought into sex trafficking, and that then there was Hector, and he posted on his Facebook about how he would do fundraisers, and Joseph Murray and Emma Murray Daybell, they would post about how they were doing like a fun run to raise money for the Underground Railroad. And this Methgate letter basically said that this private investigator gave the information to Kay and Marilyn, and Marilyn typed it up, and then she sent it to the FBI and the police with Kay's email, and they weren't hearing anything back about it. So then they sent it out to us, and they sent it to a bunch of reporters. so all the information was out there, but slowly as more and more information kept coming out, something would tie back into Methgate and bring it back up again. Like it just was like a full loop with the Operation Underground Railroad getting brought back up when you find out Hector's involved, and it's like, here's Methgate again. Okay, does this story have any credibility? Do we need to look into this again? And things just keep coming back to it, and it always keeps, it should be buried, but it keeps coming back up. And now it's like some epic urban legend that really could be true. I don't know.
Jesus, there's just a lot. There's a lot that could be. I mean, there's probably a lot we don't even know, right?
Yeah, Methgate. If you want to know about Methgate, you can go into our Facebook group.
Yeah, put up the Facebook
all the posts
group.
Are in there.
The True Crime Underground, Lori Daybell, Doomsday Mom?
Cult Mom.
Oh,
Cult Mom.
Cult Mom.
Yeah, Andrea's been posting the link in there.
She? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, you've got my head like spinning. So is there anything else you want to talk about tonight before we get off of here?
No, but next time, I've been talking with one of Lori's friends, and she's been giving me a ton of info. And
oh my God.
Basically, the narrative that Dateline's pushed out and the media with Pulowski and Gibb, the whole story's not out there at all. Like, there was a lot going on in between Joe Ryan's death, Charles murder, because he was murdered, and the kids being killed. Then there was the welfare check in November, but before November, there was a ton of stuff going on. And she gave me a lot of details about like meetings, and she told a story about how Lori had invited her to St. George, to this guy's house, and everything lines up to it being Portal Guy's house.
Being whose? I'm sorry, you cut out.
Portal Guy. Remember the Portal Guy?
Oh, the Portal Guy. Yeah. That was his house that she took her friend to?
She didn't know because she didn't go. She turned her down. So she's a direct descendant of like some pretty historic Mormons within the church. And she said that she's like recruited by these fringe groups because they want to be able to use her name and announce that she's a descendant and she's a part of them, and that Lori would never straight up say anything to her about the stuff, but she would kind of drop hints to get her to ask questions and stuff, lure her in like Chad did. But this started back before they've announced that Lori and Chad had met.
Can you explain who Portal Guy is in like just a nutshell?
Okay, Portal Guy, apparently there's this guy who's possibly from India, and he's like 75 years old, and he's got this nice house in St. George, Utah, and he had a portal in his basement where people could come and practice portaling.
Practice.
Right. So Chad and Hector had the power to create their own portals as well.
And what would they do in these portals?
I mean, I don't know. You'd have to be there to know what they were doing.
Oh.
Let me see if I can pull something up to see if
they were portaling.
I mean, they were portaling. They were touching portals.
Jeez, oh Pete.
Let's see.
Okay, so Christina wants to know who is Hector. He's like, what's his title?
Hector Sosa. He has a he has a background in counterintelligence, and he's like, Jason Moe can physically destroy you, but Hector Sosa will digitally like destroy you, hack into your stuff, ruin everything. He's like a fat nerd who does energy healing type stuff, lives out in Springville, where the fires are at right now, actually.
Who's Andy Ryan?
Remember Andy? Andy's like that troll that popped up from another group, and he comes into our group, and I don't know what he disrespects women, and
this isn't it's not a real person then.
He's not involved with the case. He's involved with the group.
Oh, okay.
And he's just a shit stir. And it's probably a woman named April.
Oh, well, there you have it.
Okay, so here's what I was given on the portals. Portals are disgusting visions of glory that you created them yourself before you came here. Simply another way to astral travel, which the church does not teach. It's real, but has no place in Christian religion. You are playing with another realm. You can leave your body, go there and create with your mind, and what you make there stays there. It is still there the next time you go back.
Oh, God.
You can go and watch, right? You can go and watch others, but it's wrong. And that's what Julie Rowe says that Chad and Hector are doing, saying that they go in their portal and spy on people.
Oh my God, dude.
While they're in their portals. And that's why she's discredited them.
This totally is weird. I just watched this thing, I don't remember what it was, on Netflix, and it had that same storyline, these two guys, but they would game, and they would go into this portal like thing where it was them gaming, but they looked like the gaming characters. And one was a male and one was a female, and they'd go into the portal of the game and have sex with each other. And then when they came back to real life, they were really like buddies, like guys. And they were like, ooh, God, it was just really strange. And that's what it reminded me of when you said that. Like, ew. So they convinced, like, Chad convinced, like, women, if they went in his portal, like, what happens in the portal stays in the portal.
I think so. I mean, Chad wasn't the only one that did the portaling. You know, Hector was portaling people.
Well, I know.
This old man was portaling people. Julie's portaling people. So they would bring people over to their house and guide them. They were teaching it because they were prophets. This shit sounds so weird. It is. It
is fucking weird.
When Melanie Gibb talks about like how she was a victim and she's sucked in and all this, and she's telling the story and she's talking about the zombies, and it's just like, do you not listen to yourself? Like, have you never like at least like written, well, obviously she's written the bullshit down because she has a book, but it's just so crazy to me that she's saying that she's a victim in all of this, and she was brought in, but she was a key player in the whole thing. Mm-hmm. She just bailed. It's lame. But Hector, the person that was involved with all this, also told me that Hector's into like Santorino, like a voodoo. Santorini? What is it?
Voodoo?
I'm trying to voodoo shit. Like Hector's family, like his mom and dad, he was reading it, and so he knows that stuff too. But it's like some Puerto Rican witch god.
What the fuck?
I tell you, like
you lost
it just
me.
Keeps getting weird.
Puerto Rican witch god. All right, I'm officially lost. Completely lost.
Let me look up the exact
I'm
name.
still just figuring out this whole portal. I'm a little behind.
I don't know, because she brings up some names and she tells me some different topics and some
Oh,
stuff.
I hear the crickets.
Santorini. Yeah. I don't know. I guess they're pissed off from the
Oh my god.
smoke from the fires.
They're all in stereo. All right.
But yeah.
This has been awesome. Again, you always are right. You know everything about this case. I mean, you know, you're on point. Every question you took, you knew. I don't know how you keep track of it, but I want to thank you for sharing it on my channel.
You're welcome. We have some pretty cool admins. We all work together, and
yes, it's not just Carl. It's not just the Carl show.
Yeah, no, it's not just Carl. The Matador is just a photo.
Oh my gosh. All right. So we're going to do this again, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
You tell me and we're game.
All right, for sure. I would love to have Annie Cushing on. She knows the invitation is open. All right, Carl Danger. If you guys want to check out everything that Carl was talking about tonight, you can join the group and see all of his posts, right? Sorry, I got distracted by somebody in chat.
I know, I'm trying to read to it. Now it's going too fast.
Yeah, I know, I got rid of
People are...
Should I have left it?
Santeria, I mean, like...
Oh, Santeria.
Maybe it is Santeria.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it is Santeria, you know.
Oh, it's like...
What's their bucket? Sing the song.
Yeah. I don't practice
Talking
Santeria.
about, I don't practice Santeria, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, why am I having a mind blank?
I don't know. Why was I just brain dead and couldn't even figure that out? I didn't even connect the dots on that one.
Sublime.
Sublime, yeah.
So that's associated with who? Santeria voodoo is with...
Yeah, like Cuba, Puerto Rico type, but Caribbean islands. But it's like, she had said that he had talked about how it went back to ancient Brazil, like 17th, 18th century, I think. It goes back. It's not like something that's new. Apparently, I've just been clueless about it my whole life.
I guess I'm clueless about a lot of things because I didn't know half this stuff about Mormons and all this stuff. So my mind is a little bit blown there.
I know, they have a Book of Mormon study guide at Costco.
Really?
It's $50, and I was like, I almost bought it because I was like, because I have to message and ask questions, but I might be able to remember what they told me and how it's aligned and everything, but I don't know the exact details. I've never been inside. So it would be cool if maybe you could get an ex-Mormon, like a recent ex-Mormon who had a temple recommend, and they could come on and talk about it for a while. Maybe they have like an easy way to talk about it.
What's a temple recommend?
Well, they have to have, there's the churches, right? But then there's temples. There's like the main temple down in Salt Lake City, but I think there's a temple out in Saratoga Springs, Sandy, or what is it? Not Sandy. It's like South Jordan. Like there's temples all over. Temple in Rexburg, temple in Chandler, and you have to go into some meeting and they ask you questions and they say like, do you masturbate? And if you say yes, and they're like, sorry, you can't get in. So, and I know that part is true. I know that is something that they would ask.
Jesus. I don't know anything about this stuff. It's crazy. That in itself is weird.
You can't be a freak, man. You gotta be straight in line to get into the good places. You know, because they have different levels of, there's like different levels of heaven. And so by being the best Mormon, you get into the higher level. There's good names. I can give you a link to someone that has like a really good podcast, and she's had Julie Rowe on twice and gotten her to talk, and she does a really good job. She asks her a bunch of questions, but Julie pulls a Melanie, and she kind of just beats around the bush.
Talks in circles.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, send me the link to that.
To avoid it. But yeah, this girl's really good. And I think she is Mormon. She's just not afraid to talk about stuff. And she talks about how talked about the whole thing about how we talked about earlier. If it's something that's positive, shout it out to the world, and if it's negative, bury it. Mm-hmm. Turn your head. She talks about that and how that's like a major problem, and it enables people like Chad. And she brings up these other people who are also in those documents that Ryan gave us from Mormon Leaks that are going to be on the post in the group. Like everything ties back into each other. It's crazy. It's like a giant ass circle.
Right. Like you need a big, huge whiteboard.
Right. You know that from It's Sunny, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and the little man with the squeaky voice, and he's like looking like he's crazy, and he's got the marker in his hand, and his whiteboard just looks like shit, and there's stuff scattered everywhere, and he looks like he's like sweating bullets trying to explain to someone something before, you know, time runs out. And it's like they always share that, and it's like me explaining Lori Daybell case to my mom.
Right. Starting from the beginning. Yeah. Oh God. Annie Cushing said, true story. Barry and Janice tried to convince me to go to the temple near me when I was there last. So I think she's talking about the temple recommendation. Is that what that?
I don't know. You can go to it. You just can't. I don't think you can get inside it.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like they have church. The church does Christmas lights every year. And you go down there, check out the Christmas lights and stuff like that. But like, I couldn't get in.
Oh.
There's no way.
Like just for a regular like service? Couldn't just walk up and...
Well, the temples, you got to have the temple recommend. So
oh, the temple, that's different than the separate church. The ward.
Yeah. Jodi Arias was converted to being a Mormon for her homeboy. You know, her ex-boyfriend, the one that she pulled that whole trick where she came all the way to Utah to have sex with some dude to make it look like she was never in Mesa. Mm-hmm. He lives right down the street
from you.
He lives here.
Oh, really? You ever talked to him?
Yeah, not in person.
No, you haven't caught him outside. You haven't caught him outside yet.
I don't know, but can you imagine that conversation in a grocery store line?
No, I would love it.
Hey, tell me a story.
Oh,
I'll tell you a story about me.
So once my neighbor lived next door to that guy Jodi killed. That guy.
I can't think of what his name was. But
it wasn't it.
You know,
Alexander? Tyler Alexander?
I don't know. No,
you don't know you seriously
Travis.
Oh, Travis Alexander. See?
Oh, someone said it right there. Travis Alexander. Yeah, Travis. Travis was the guy who was killed, but the Ryan Burns was the guy that
the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend.
The was Jodi's slam piece. She
Oh my
totally used him to try and get out of murder.
Poor guy.
Oh yeah, he did that interview on the ID channel where it was like friends of Travis Alexander like showed up, and it was like one of his friends, and then it was Ryan Burns. Yeah, the alibi. So Christina said.
Oh
and
yeah.
It was really good because you have like three people who were connected, but they were far enough apart to where they each had a different story. And then it was like a 2-hour thing, and they brought in like the court stuff and her basically laying out her plan, and she was obsessed with Travis, and so he was Mormon, and she converted to be with him.
I wonder, was that a long process or no?
I don't know. I don't know how long it takes to convert. Remember, I got baptized in the Jordan River just dinking around, so I don't know if someone can just baptize you, or I don't know what the exact process is.
Huh. Alexander W. wants to know, Carl, what documents from Mormon leaks are you going to be posting?
Let's see. How about I just drop them in the
I think I saw Annie said that they were posted.
I'm pretty sure they are, but I can share them in your.
They are posted in the group.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, they're posted in the group, so.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Are there any ninjas in the portal?
He told me, did Alex have Narcan in his blood? I think that they gave him the Narcan because they thought it was an overdose. I don't think
really?
So many people overdose. I think that was just something that they used. They just figured he was overdosing, and that's how all the drug rumors got started. But wasn't there Narcan in his system when they did the autopsy?
Was there?
I'm pretty sure there was.
Mm.
And that's how people came up with the Alex was doing heroin, all that stuff, but it didn't seem like that was true.
Mm.
And then, because there was Alex going to Colombia, and people were like, oh my God, he was going to Colombia for drugs. It's like, no, he's going to Colombia for hookers.
Yeah, we talked about that last time. Crazy. His dad, too, was all about that kind of shit, right?
Barry's about sticking it to the man. He doesn't pay taxes. Yeah, there's the whole thing about the house and Barry and Alex and Summer ripping off Barry and Janice while Barry was in jail because he was trying to hide money from the feds. I swear.
Like,
Carl, do you think Tammy was murdered? 100%.
Do you think that there's anybody that's a good person and involved in this entire mess? For real.
I don't think Ian's a good person. I don't think Melanie's a good person. No, Ian's trash. I don't think Melanie's a good person. I don't think Julie Rowe's a good person. Alex is scum of the earth. Same with Chad and Lori. I think Melanie Gibbs a bad person. Melanie Gibbs a terrible person. I don't know how she's going to live with herself.
Now, what happened with her? Like, I know I think she said on Dateline she went into hiding, and she had recently come out after Chad was arrested.
She basically left her kids and husband to go live with her boyfriend in Utah. And that was him in hiding.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, technically she left. She was somewhere else. She could say she was hiding from the group and everything, but she was with David, who was a cult member with her, And that's the other thing. The whole cult thing, like, it's so weird to people argue, like, it's not a cult, it's a cult, this and that. And it just seems like it's something more. Like, there's just so much going on.
It doesn't even seem real.
Right? This is weird.
All right, Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann said she is a member of the LDS Church, and there is so much misconception. If you ever want to know more, let me know. Not all of the negatives surrounding the church.
See, that's what I'm saying when I said before, like, someone's going to get offended that we're bringing up something like people are saying Chad wasn't Mormon. Chad's not Mormon. Chad's not Mormon.
Yeah, I think they're
And
taking
it's
it
like,
personally to, like, on them, like, they're taking it way too personal. It's not about.
And I tell them, I'm like, if Chad was a Scientologist and he went and did all this, we would be talking about Scientology. We wouldn't be talking about Mormons. So this isn't Mormon bashing. This talking about Chad. You want to get into Chad's, people get mad at you for getting Chad's books and stuff like that. And it's like, well, you want to get into his head and see what's going on. Why wouldn't you read his book? That's Chad's thoughts.
That goes for anything. I mean, why do we study Ted Bundy's behavior? Why are we so intrigued with Ted Bundy? It's not because, we agree with him or you know what I'm saying? It's not personal. It's analyzing something. And it happens to be Mormonism in this case.
Right. The next case that comes by probably won't be Mormon, and we won't be talking about the Mormon church.
Right.
Like, but everyone is asking questions because they want to understand. Mm-hmm. And Chad did all of this using the Mormon church to find people and build his whole kingdom. So you have to talk about the Mormon church. You can't not talk about it.
Because he used it to distort people's views.
Yeah, he's a con man. He's not a good person. And it's crazy thinking back, like, how long did Chad get away with this? Like, if Chad didn't meet Lori, would Chad would still be doing this, but would he have gotten some other mom to do what Lori did, to go ahead with all this? Like, how far could this have gone? Because it was something that he had done for a long time, out in the open, in front of everyone. And they're just like, oh, that's just Chad.
Do we know, like, what Tammy was thinking about what Chad was doing? Was she on board?
I don't know, because I think, like, Emma was into Chad's stuff. Chad wrote about her in the books. Garth, he narrated a bunch of Chad's books, all the audio versions of Chad's books. It's Chad's son that did the audio. So it's hard to see. I don't know if Tammy probably didn't believe. That's probably why she's not here. Who knows?
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out.
I don't think so. I don't think we'll ever learn the truth in a lot of this stuff, because people want to lie to protect themselves, and they don't want. No one wants to look like Melanie Gibb right now. Come out and be like, look at me, I got sucked into this. Yeah. And so
everyone's covering their own ass.
Yeah, and there's Mormon blogs, like LDS blogs, and people get on there and they talk about things like meeting with Chad or meeting with David or Melanie and going to campouts and stuff like that. But when you say, like, have you gone to the police with this? And then it's crickets. So, and people send all that stuff in anyway, but it's like, you don't know what these people are doing, if they're reporting or not.
Right. All right. Well, I think that I'm going to close this for tonight. We've been going almost a couple hours. So I definitely want to have you back on again. It's always great. You're so informative. Everybody loves you. And again, probably most of the people here are in your group already. But if not, I'm going to put the link in the description of the video below.
Yeah, cool. We'll link your podcast in the group.
Yeah, and then
I'll send everyone over.
I'll put the link to that podcast about Mormonism you were talking about, so people can check that out if they want to.
You're gonna put that in there, or you want me to?
I'll put it in the description of my video.
Okay.
And you can put it in your group, whatever.
Well, it was in there today. Someone posted a.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just send it to me.
Okay.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thanks you guys, and have a good Monday tomorrow. See ya. Bye, Carl.
Bye. See ya. Thanks.
Oh shoot, we forgot to talk about your